Most people will never taste the life they were born to live, not because destiny denied them, not because fate was cruel, but because at the critical moments where greatness demanded a price, they flinched, they shrank. They chose comfort over calling, distraction over destiny, average over everything they could have been. And it is the greatest tragedy of the human spirit. Not that we aim too high and miss, but that we aim too low and succeed. We are not destroyed by failure. We are seduced by mediocrity. Because mediocrity is easy. Because mediocrity is safe. Because mediocrity doesn't ask for blood, sweat, or soul. It only asks that you surrender your potential, quietly. Look around you. A world built by those who refused to be average, surrounded by billions who silently accepted it. There are buildings with names on them, fortunes that echo through generations, inventions that reshape the earth, all crafted by men and women who heard the same voices of doubt, the same whispers of fear, and decided not to listen. Edison failed 10,000 times before he lit the world. Lincoln faced defeat after defeat before he preserved a nation. Ford went bankrupt 5 times before he revolutionized industry. Disney was told he had no imagination before he reimagined wonder itself. They were not born extraordinary. They were forged in fire. The fire of decision, the fire of persistence, the fire of vision. And now it's your fire that must be lit. Because if you don't, the world will gladly offer you a chair among the spectators to watch others live the life you could have claimed. Mindset, the foundation of everything. Understand this. Average begins in the mind. It is not your circumstances that chain you. It is the way you think about them. It is not your background that defines you. It is the meaning you give it. The mind is the master key. And most people hand theirs over to fear, to cynicism, to the invisible tyranny of what if it doesn't work. But you must become a mental warrior. You must see your mind as sacred ground where only seeds of greatness are allowed to grow. Guard it as you would your most precious treasure, because it is. What you think about yourself when no one is watching, what you believe about your own worth when there are no cheers, no applause, no handouts, that is what sets the stage for everything. Carnegie once said, "As I grow older, I pay less attention to what men say. I just watch what they do." But even more powerful is watching what they think, because that is where action is born. Average people allow thoughts of limitation to take root. They say, "I'm not smart enough. I'm not lucky enough. I'm not ready." And so they wait and wait and wait until the soil of their mind is so overrun with weeds that nothing powerful can grow. The few, the rare few, plant something different. They plant conviction. They plant belief so deep that when storms come, they do not waver. You must do the same. You must see yourself not as you are, but as you could be, and treat that vision as fact, long before it becomes reality, because the mind will follow what you demand of it. Feed it average, and it will serve you an average life. Feed it excellence, and it will engineer a destiny most cannot even dream. Belief, the power that moves mountains. Belief is not just wishful thinking. Belief is the fuel of all human achievement. It is the unseen force that bends reality, that rewrites the laws of what is possible. Most people believe, but they believe in their limits. They believe they cannot rise. They believe success is reserved for the lucky few. They believe the world is against them, and so it is. But belief is a sword. It cuts both ways. And if you wield it properly, it cuts through every excuse, every obstacle, every so-called impossibility. Remember this: before every major breakthrough in history, there was first a man or woman sitting alone, unknown, unseen, who dared to believe in something no one else could see. They were laughed at. They were doubted. They were told to be realistic, and they were right to ignore them. The Wright brothers believed a man could fly when every expert said it was madness. Thomas Edison believed he could harness electricity when the world lived in darkness. Oprah Winfrey believed her voice mattered when the world told her it didn't. Belief is your superpower, but it demands that you back it up with action. Belief without action is just fantasy. You must move as if your success is inevitable, not because the path will be easy, but because your belief is unbreakable. Average people dip their toe into their dreams, and when the water feels cold, they retreat. Winners set themselves on fire with belief and jump in head first, knowing the water will warm to their determination. Clarity, the sharp edge of purpose. You cannot hit a target you cannot see, and you cannot live a legendary life without first defining what that life looks like. Average people drift. They wake up and let the world decide for them what matters. They live according to the headlines, the trends, the gossip, the chaos. Their minds are like a ship without a rudder, tossed by every wave, every storm, every whisper of the wind. But those who break free, they live with clarity, sharp, precise, relentless. They know exactly what they want and exactly what they are willing to pay to get it. Clarity gives you power. It silences the noise. It makes you immune to distraction. It forces your energy, your time, your very soul into alignment with your vision. Without clarity, motivation fades. Without clarity, discipline crumbles. Without clarity, greatness remains a distant dream, never a lived reality. Write down your vision. Carve it into the stone of your mind. Revisit it daily until it burns behind your eyelids. Because in a world full of people who don't know where they're going, the man or woman with a map is king. Vision, building a future before it exists. Vision is seeing what is not yet and treating it as if it already is. It is building a castle in the clouds and then laying brick after brick until the world can see it too. Without vision, you are blind in a world that demands sight beyond the visible. Without vision, you will mistake obstacles for endings and delays for denials. Every empire, every revolution, every masterpiece began as a vision inside a mind that refused to let it die. When Walt Disney stood before a barren swamp in Florida and said, "Here will be the happiest place on earth," they called him insane. When Elon Musk spoke of colonizing Mars, they called him delusional. When Martin Luther King Jr. declared, "I have a dream," he was speaking a vision into a world not ready to hear it. And yet he spoke anyway. You must become the architect of your future. You must see with the eyes of the mind what the eyes of the body cannot yet perceive. You must live inside your vision so deeply that it becomes more real to you than the present moment. Because vision is what pulls you through hardship. Vision is what drags you out of bed when the body begs for comfort. Vision is what silences the chorus of critics, both external and internal. Average people abandon their visions at the first sign of resistance. The exceptional double down. They understand. Resistance is not a sign to quit. It is a sign to push harder. So dream so vividly, so obsessively, that the universe itself begins to shift under the weight of your certainty. Purpose, the fire beneath the vision. But vision alone is not enough. You must have a purpose, a reason so deep, so raw, that it ignites your every step with fire. Purpose is what makes sacrifice sweet. Purpose is what makes struggle sacred. Without purpose, even the best vision will wither into daydreams. Without purpose, your mind will manufacture excuses faster than your heart can summon courage. Find your why and make it bigger than your fears. Make it so personal, so vital, that the idea of quitting feels like death itself. Andrew Carnegie did not build his fortune just for himself. He built it to prove that men of humble beginnings could rise to reshape the world. Henry Ford did not invent the Model T for luxury. He did it to put the common man on wheels. and changed the destiny of nations. Their purpose was bigger than profit. It was legacy, impact, history. What will yours be? If your goals are shallow, your willpower will be shallow. But if your goals are rooted in something unshakable, something eternal, there is no force on earth that can stop you. Purpose turns obstacles into fuel. Purpose transforms pain into power. Purpose takes an ordinary life and electrifies it with unstoppable momentum. So dig deep. Ask yourself not just what you want, but why you must have it. And when you find an answer that makes you tremble, that stirs your blood, that refuses to let you sleep, that is when you are ready. Discipline, the bridge between dreams and reality. Dreams without discipline are fantasies. It is easy to wish, easy to hope, easy to post quotes and talk about ambition. But discipline, that is the rarest currency of all, because discipline is brutal. It asks you to do what needs to be done, especially when you don't feel like it. It demands that you forsake the temptations of the moment for the glory of the future. Most people are slaves to their moods. They work when they're motivated. They act when they're excited. And they sit idle when life demands grit. But the few, the unstoppable, they understand a sacred law. You do not negotiate with your goals. You either show up or you surrender. You either execute or you evaporate. Muhammad Ali said it best. I hated every minute of training, but I said, don't quit. Suffer now and live the rest of your life as a champion. Champions are not made in arenas. They are made in empty gyms, in silent mornings, in lonely nights where discipline wins over desire. Every choice you make is a vote for the person you are becoming. Every ignored alarm, every skipped session, every broken promise to yourself, these are the bricks that build a life of regret. But every early morning, every extra rep, every silent sacrifice, these are the bricks that build empires. Discipline is love for your future self. It is the purest form of self-respect. It is proof to the world and to your own soul that you mean what you say. Action, turning fire into force. All the belief, all the mindset, all the vision and discipline in the world are meaningless if you do not act. Action is the magic ingredient that turns dreams into destiny. And here's the brutal truth most will never tell you. You will never feel fully ready. You will never have every answer. You will never eliminate every risk. Waiting for perfect conditions is the strategy of cowards. Fortune favors the bold, not the prepared, because action creates clarity. Action creates momentum. Action reveals what preparation alone never could. Think of the titans who reshaped the world. Did Edison wait until he knew every variable? Did Mandela wait until victory was assured? Did Jobs wait until the market was perfectly aligned? Number, they acted. Imperfectly, fiercely, relentlessly. Average people wait for motivation. Winners generate it through action. Start where you are. Use what you have. Do what you can. And as you move, the path will reveal itself. Because movement is power. Movement is life. Movement transforms fear into strength and doubt into mastery. Do not stand still. Do not analyze yourself into paralysis. Move, strike, building become. Gratitude, the hidden power that multiplies everything. Gratitude is not weakness. It is not passivity. It is not pretending that life is perfect. Gratitude is strength. Gratitude is the discipline of kings. Gratitude is the lens that sharpens your vision and magnifies your power. Most people live in a trance of lack. They obsess over what they don't have, who they are not, what they have not yet achieved. And by doing so, they cement themselves deeper into mediocrity. Because whatever you focus on grows. Focus on what you lack, and lack multiplies. Focus on what you have, and abundance explodes. The greatest minds, the boldest hearts, the unbreakable souls, they understood this. Carnegie, Lincoln, Helen Keller, Mandela. Even in the darkest moments, they found something to be grateful for. And from that seed of gratitude, they grew forests of triumph. Gratitude is not just an emotion, it is armor. It shields you against bitterness. It arms you against self-pity. It gives you the power to keep marching forward when others collapse under the weight of complaint. Each morning you wake up is a victory. Each breath you draw is a blessing. Each obstacle you face is an invitation to grow stronger. If you cannot be grateful now, when things are hard, when the dream is distant, you will never be grateful later, when the world finally sees your crown. Gratitude turns the journey into joy. Gratitude transforms the struggle into a sacred pilgrimage. So wake up every day with a fire in your heart, not because life is easy, but because you are alive, and because your destiny still waits for you to claim it. Adaptability, the strength to bend without breaking. The river does not complain about the rocks. It finds a way around them. The oak does not curse the storm. It bends so it does not break. And those who rise to greatness understand. Adaptability is survival. Most people break at the first twist in the road. They had a plan. They clung to it. And when life inevitably threw chaos into the mix, they crumbled. But the exceptional, the unstoppable, the legends, they understand a secret. The plan is not sacred. The mission is sacred. You must be willing to shift, to pivot, to reinvent yourself as many times as it takes. Because life will not hand you a straight path. It will hand you storms and detours and betrayals and setbacks. The question is not, will it be hard? The question is, how will you respond? Thomas Edison lost entire laboratories to fire. And within 48 hours, he rebuilt and reimagined them greater than before. Abraham Lincoln lost elections, lost businesses, lost children, and yet he adapted, evolved, endured until he carved his name into eternity. Adaptability is the refusal to die before you are dead. It is the art of taking the blows and using them to forge an even sharper edge. It is not weakness to change strategy. It is wisdom. It is power. Be rigid in your purpose. Be fluid in your methods. A tree that cannot bend will snap. A soul that cannot adapt will fade. You were born to bend and rise higher because of it. Resilience, the crown jewel of the human spirit. Resilience is the muscle most people refuse to build. And so, when life hits, and it will hit, they fall, and they do not rise. But you are different, because you understand that resilience is not given. It is earned in blood and sweat and tears. It is forged in the heartbreaks that almost broke you. It is hardened in the failures that almost defined you. Resilience is getting up when there is no applause. When the world watches to see if you will finally stay down, and you rise anyway. It is standing alone in the arena, battered and bleeding, and smiling through broken teeth because you are still in the fight. History is not made by those who never fell. It is made by those who refused to stay fallen. Ford was called a failure. Disney was called a fool. Lincoln was called unfit. But they knew the secret. Every setback is a test. Every defeat is a forge. Every blow is shaping you into the weapon destiny demands you become. When life knocks you down, you have two choices. Stay average and stay down, or rise higher, fueled by the fire of your own refusal to surrender. Each time you rise, you become something rarer, something harder to kill, something the world cannot ignore. You become inevitable. Learning, the fuel that never runs out. The average believe learning ends with school. The exceptional understand. Learning is life. The mind that stops growing begins dying. The soul that stops seeking becomes hollow. Every master was once a student. Every legend was once a beginner fumbling in the dark. But they stayed hungry. They read. They listened. They asked questions. They failed and learned. The greatest danger is not failure. It is stagnation. It is the silent decay that happens when you believe you already know enough. When Andrew Carnegie met me, Napoleon Hill, he said something few understood. The men who succeed above their fellows are the men who, while busy doing the work they are set to do, nevertheless never lose sight of the fact that a tremendous order of business, greater than they have yet attained, still awaits them. In other words, stay humble, stay learning, stay moving forward. Read the books, study the masters, break yourself against new ideas, outgrow your former self every day, because knowledge compounds, wisdom compounds, power compounds. And over years, the gap between the learners and the stagnant becomes a canyon no luck can cross. You're either growing or decaying. There is no neutral. Choose growth. Choose learning. Choose to become so powerful in mind, in spirit, in skill, that the world itself bends to your evolution. Final climax, the death of average and the birth of destiny. Look around you. Everywhere you turn, you see it. The quiet disease of the modern age, mediocrity, people moving without meaning, dreams traded for comfort, potential buried beneath excuses. The tragedy is not that life is hard. The tragedy is that most choose to live it asleep. They bury their greatness beneath distractions. They silence their callings with comfort. They sell their futures for cheap, fleeting pleasures. And yet, somewhere deep inside you, a voice refuses to be silenced. A hunger refuses to be starved. A fire refuses to go out. It is the whisper of destiny. It is the battle cry of the soul that will not settle for average. You were not built to blend in. You were not crafted for mediocrity. You were designed, forged, summoned into existence for something greater. And if you forget everything else, remember this. Average is a choice. Greatness is a choice. Your life is your vote. Every day you rise and grind, you vote for greatness. Every time you show up when no one is watching, you vote for greatness. Every sacrifice, every lonely night, every hard decision, you are casting your ballot for a life that most will never taste. And when the world tries to lull you back to sleep, with its distractions, its doubts, its endless comfort, you will stand tall. You will remember who you are. You will remember who you are becoming. You will move with the force of mountains. You will burn with the fury of stars. You will tear through the walls that cage the average, and you will stand, bloodied but unbroken, in the sunlight of your destiny. Because the truth is simple. Most people stay average because they are afraid of the price. You will not. You will pay it, gladly, fiercely, without apology. You will pay in early mornings and late nights. You will pay in failures and redirections. You will pay in sweat, in study, in sacrifice, and you will receive in return something priceless, a life lived awake, a soul forged in fire, a name carved in the stone of history. Do not wait for permission. Do not wait for signs. Do not wait for comfort. Rise now. Step forward. Clench your fists against the pull of mediocrity. Roar back against the tide of average. And become what you were always meant to become. A force so unrelenting, so undeniable, that even fate itself must stand aside. This is your time. This is your revolution. Why do most people stay average? Because they never decide. And why won't you? Because you just did. Now move. Just did.